Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to Chabad and Friends, episode number 2. Title of this will be The Purpose of Marriage. It was in 1949 that Reb Shmuel Mendelovich, who was a son of the known famous Mechanech, the educator, and the mainstay of the Yeshiva Torah V'das, Reb Shraga Feivel Mendelovich, Zecher Tzadik Livrocha, who came to America in 1913 and settled in Scranton, and after 7 years came to New York and was asked by Reb Binyamin Wilhelm, the grandfather of Rabbi Yisroel Belsky, Zatzal, to get involved in the yeshiva and be a mechanech. And he did, and he overcame the issues at the time where they were teaching Ivrit and other such things that Reb Shraga Feivel felt wasn't the right approach for education for an American boy in 1920s. And in 1926, he even started the first Mesifta, and he was the one who coined the name Mesifta. And this Reb Shraga Feivel developed an entire yeshiva, which was L'Shem U'L'Seferes, a beautiful yeshiva. This year was celebrating the centennial of the yeshiva, 100 years of what they call America's yeshiva. And one of his sons was Reb Shmuel. This Reb Shmuel had children, and his son-in-law, Reb David Lichtenstein, told me the following story that sheds light on the relationship between Lubavitch Chabad and Torah V'das and the Mendelovitzes. And the message is how to look at a marriage, the purpose of marriage, and what we can expect if we invest in a marriage, the results to be. Reb Shraga Feivel passed away in 1948 at a relatively young age. And his son, Shmuel, became a chassan in 1949 and ultimately married in 49. Having known about the Frierdiker Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, the Rebbe Rayatz, one of the reasons he knew about it is because his father actually, together with several thousand Williamsburg Jews, went on Chav Ches Mar Cheshvan, December 1, 1929, to hear the previous Rebbe say a Maimon Chassidus at 125 Moore Street. It was called Nusach Harit Samach Tzedek Shul. Initially, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Lokshin was the Rav there, and then Rabbi Kanekov was the Rav there. The building doesn't stand today any longer, and Yirtz Hashem, we will hopefully speak about that at another time. Today, that section is called Bushwick. It used to be known as Old Williamsburg. So when the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, came to America, he was here almost for a year, from September or so, 1929, till July, August of 1930. He frequented different communities outside of New York, but his primary abode was 184, I believe, Brooklyn Avenue, and which is not far from Williamsburg. So he stayed in Crown Heights. But he was able to go to the local areas, the greater Manhattan, Brooklyn area, Brownsville, East New York, to arouse people to learn more Torah, do more mitzvahs, and give tzedakah to his brethren in the Soviet Union who were suffering greatly at the time. And the Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe, had an entire underground movement of chadorim, cheders, mikvaos, Talmud Torahs, yeshivas, a fascinating operation, and I've discussed that at great length in various books, including Lakewood and Lubavitch and other such works. But going back to the Shraga Feivel Mendelovich, so he had interaction with the Rebbe, and more so in the early 30s with Rabbi Yisroel Jacobson. Rabbi Jacobson came to America in 1926, and he was a fireball. Besides being a massive Talmud Chacham, a Rav, a Chayzer by the Rebbe Rashab, and a Chassidish Yid, he was an all-around person and a great, tremendous activist on behalf of Lubavitch, of the Chabad movement, and the previous Rebbe. And he had already cultivated connections, particularly with people who came from Geza Chabad, from the Chabad lineage, being children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren of Chabad Hasidim for 100 to 150 years, going back to the early times of the Balatanya. So Rabbi Jacobson introduced Torah boys to Chabad Hasidus, and Rabbi Mendelowitz, although initially was for it, then he was a little upset. But at the end, it wasn't as though he was adamant it should stop, and he felt that it might deter other American boys from coming to the yeshiva. But at the end, he saw that this was the best approach, a good approach, and he had a cordial relationship with Lubavitch. So when the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, came in 1940 to permanently settle in America, he knew about him and had a respectful relationship. So when he passed away in 48 and his son got married in 49, his son Shmuel said he wants a bracha. So one of the people who he went to for a bracha was the previous Rebbe. When he came to 770, they told him that the previous Rebbe wasn't feeling well and he couldn't see him. He's not seeing people that night. He's not giving what's called yechidus. In Chabad, we have the word yechidus, which means a private audience, which is really the bearing of one soul, the Rebbe's soul, to the petitioner's soul, called yechidus. And it's a very, very awesome and important event, and it even exists today, but that's for another time. A discussion, an explanation, how that's relevant even today. So they told him, the secretaries told the Reb Shmuel that the previous Rebbe can't see him, but he should go to the Rebbe, the Ramash, the Rebbe was called at the time the Ramash, and talk to him. So he went down to the Ramash, and the Ramash told him, the Rebbe told him, the Rebbe asked him, what's your name? And he said, Shmuel Mendelovich. So the Rebbe right away said, you mean a son of Reb Shraga Feivel Mendelovich? He said, yes. So the Rebbe said, one moment, and he went upstairs to the Frierdiker Rebbe. He came back down, and he said, my father-in-law will see you now. And when he went back to the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Frierdiker Rebbe put on his spodik, he put on his gartel, and he began saying a Maimer Chasidus. Why and what is the purpose of one's neshama coming into the world? Lahavin inyan yeridas haneshama lemata. To comprehend, to understand why one's neshama comes into the world. And he spoke for a long time. And Reb Shmuel told David Lichtenstein this, and this was powerful. And then the Rebbe gave him brachas that he should have a good marriage, a healthy marriage, and a meaningful marriage. And it was the mekuyim, it was fulfilled. And what we see from this, and what the lesson for us today is, that a marriage isn't just an important act. A marriage, a Jewish marriage, is a holy act. And what does it mean, a holy act? A holy act means it has a mission. It has a purpose. There's a reason why two people get together. And when you go to a tzaddik, such as Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, the Rebbe Rayatz, and although you're not a Lubavitcher, it's tremendous. It's everlasting. May Hashem help, we all do it. Everyone, be well, seid gesund, and until next time, all the best. For further questions, comments, you can email me at info@rabbidalfin, DALFIN.com. If you want to see a list of all of my works and books and other things, go to www.jewishinfo.org. O-R-G.